Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about how mainstream media is going to war with the president, going to war with the White House, trying to stay relevant, I guess. And to understand what's going on here, you have to back up a few days ago. Apparently, an AP reporter was barred from the White House for refusing to call the Gulf of America the Gulf of America.
But weren't AP writers barred when Biden was in office too?
Some reporters were thrown out. I know that Biden did say that they can get rid of people if they're being unruly or whatever. So this is come from the New York Post a couple days ago, and we're going to get to where CNN's or former CNN anchor Jim Acosta comes into the picture, where George Clooney comes into the picture.
Yes, because George Clooney, super far left George Clooney is going to be the voice of reason, because you got to be on the right side of history.
Yes. Journalists have to have courage to refer to the Gulf of America as the Gulf of Mexico.
I'm confused. Are these the ones that were paid, by the left with the tax money that he's referring to for journalists, or he means the actual journalists? Well,
the AP did get some kickbacks, as I understand it. This comes from the New York Post. The White House banned an Associated Press reporter from attending an executive order signing in the Oval Office on Tuesday in protest of the outlet's style guide on the Gulf of America. Today, we're informed by the White House that the AP did not align its editorial standards with President Trump's new executive order renaming the Gulf of Mexico as the Gulf of America. The Associated Press would be barred from accessing an event in the Oval Office. So they're not changing it to the Gulf of America.
Okay. Again, under Biden, people who could not behave themselves or acting out of turn were also not allowed to be in the journalistic things. So I'm not understanding how it's any different. It's the same picture.
Yeah. So this is just passive aggressive bullshit that they're doing. This is kind of like taking the W's off the keyboard when George W. Bush won, but it's escalated in this big thing. So now it's like, we journalists have to stand up for ourselves against the regime. Good luck doing that without any money.
But wait, their idea of standing up for themselves is refusing to follow the government order to change the name on something.
Yes.
That's not really standing up for anything. That's just, deliberately being stupid because you're mad that he changed the name.
Yes. Again, it's passive aggressive bullshit. So we're gonna talk about this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. Guys, you'll get woohoo if you do.
Woohoo.
Now, I was a former journalist. I actually have written articles for the Associated Press. They talk about the Associated Press style guide, and that is a thing. They have a certain way they like things written. That being said, even if you personally don't like something, if it's factually accurate, as a journalist, you're supposed to report it as such. You can say, because they did this for a while when they referred to X, when they were hopeful they were going to get Twitter back, X, formerly Twitter. You can say the Gulf of America, formerly known as the Gulf of Mexico.
Yes.
And that's still accurate, but apparently they just refused to change it, even though there was an executive order.
See, here's what gets me about the quote unquote journalists is like a bunch of them it's all about narrative and not about the truth. And that's on both sides. I'm not going to say it's only on one side. I've seen it on both sides. I've seen it far more on one side than the other. And it's like your job is to report the truth and the news, not your opinion and say that is the news, because that's not necessarily the truth. That's not necessarily the case.
So enter Jim Acosta. Now, Jim Acosta, who does not like Trump, we know he doesn't like Trump. He quit CNN because they basically punted him to the graveyard shift.
They tried to hide him.
They tried to hide Jim Acosta. They moved him to the graveyard shift, failing CNN. And now he's calling for reporters to boycott the Trump administration over the AP blacklist, because that's going to help you get hits, right? Because right now the best chance you have to get people to your website or get people to buy your publications, even if it's anti-Trump, is Trump news. And if you boycott Trump, what the hell are you going to talk about?
Well, that's just it. The thing is, even our local paper here, an area that's definitely more right-leaning than left-leaning, the editor keeps pushing every day anti-Trump, anti-Elon Musk articles. It's not even talking. They're not even trying to hide it, and they're all AP. Yes. Shocker. They're all AP and they're all shocker. They're all like, none of it is actually factual. Usually it's just like, their angle, their narrative, and they keep trying to put the paper because they're trying to change people's minds. And that's what they're trying to do. Like they're going to boycott Trump, but they're just going to write their own shit that whether it's true or not doesn't matter. They're just trying. Their goal is to try to change people's minds. And all they're doing is just making people angrier.
Here's the thing. I don't think you're going to change anybody's minds. I think, you're going to make people angrier. You're actually going to have people double down. And this is the catastrophic mistake that the left made and the media made, was trying to tell people what to think. When you tell people what to think, they react accordingly because it's in our DNA as Americans to rebel, right?
Well, says the Daily Beast here, which also has, anti-Trump podcast dethrones Joe Rogan.
Yeah, which it might have. But the thing is that what I'm telling you is, like, if you're going to stop reporting on Trump, you're not going to go to the White House, press briefings, whatever. You're going to cut your nose off to spite your face because you're not going to have access. You're not going to be able to ask questions. And that's a good chunk of your news. I mean, what are you going to do? Like, not talk about Trump at all? Like that's most of your money.
Right. You don't have to agree with what Trump does. No. But you need to at least be honest in reporting.
Yeah. I mean, they could just say, hey, here's the thing. If it's an executive order, then that's what it is. I mean, I thought it was I'll be honest, I thought it was silly that one of the things they were talking about was renaming the Gulf of Mexico. I personally thought it was silly, but he did it, and that's what it's called. And
yeah, it is what it is.
What are you going to do?
So was a lot of their changes, Denali from McKinley and all this other crap.
I didn't even know that happened.
Fort Bragg's back being Bragg again stuff, but they made all these other name changes, and it was okay when they did it. You were expected to respect it because they said so.
You were supposed to go along with it when they took the Indian off of the Land O'Lakes container.
Right, Aunt Jemima, oh my God.
Aunt Jemima and Uncle Ben. So it's like, you don't have to like it. You can think it's stupid. I mean, they can say he renamed it the Gulf of America and we think it's dumb.
It is pretty stupid, personally.
I'm not sold on Greenland either. I got to tell you, I think Greenland's kind of like, what the hell?
Somebody had the best name for it. It was the Gulf of, I forget who it was, so it was credit to whoever it was. It was the Gulf of CUM for Cuba, United States, and Mexico.
Yeah. Just
call it that.
Sound that out. So anyway, we're going to talk about him. And now George Clooney, for some reason, is getting involved in this.
Because of course he is.
Jim Acosta calls for reporters to boycott Trump administration over the AP blacklist. The former CNN anchor is perhaps best known for sparring with Trump in the briefing room. And that's why he wasn't invited back, because they're like, you're going to be biased. You're going to be, again, you can ask questions. You can go home, go back to the office, write the most scathing whatever. But like when you're there, try not to be an asshole. I mean, the Biden administration even said if you're an asshole, you're going to get booted.
Well, I know they silenced some AP reporters before under Biden, but that was okay.
They probably asked questions that were too hard for him to answer, right?
Well, that'd be any question.
Oh, God. So they blacklisted the Associated Press reporter for refusing to call the Gulf of Mexico by its new Trump-appointed name.
They won't even call it that way.
Oh, my God. This is like...
It's the Daily Beast. Are you shocked?
This is like their version of freedom fries, right? It's crucial for news outlets to unite in opposition to any attempts by the administration to harm individual journalists and their organizations. But it's not, look, again, you don't have to agree with the name change, but the name has been changed. And as a journalist, you have to report it as such. You can say, Trump signed some paperwork, changed the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. I think it's freaking stupid, but that's what it's called.
Yeah,
now.
But you know what? I guarantee these same people will be mad at people for calling it Mount McKinley when they changed the name to Mount Denali. You know what I mean? It's Denali, not McKinley. You know what I mean? They would be like, you called by the correct name, and they would have been having a hissy fit.
So Acosta is apparently slumming it with the rest of us now because he's no longer on CNN. He's on Substack. And he's got his own show on Substack now. News organizations in Washington should be banding together to send the message that members of the press will determine how they cover the news, not the White House.
Well, that's the problem, isn't it? The members of the press have been determining how they cover the news for several years now, and people voted for Trump because they got tired of the journalists lying to them. And then after they lost, they were shocked because they're like, wait, we weren't winning? I thought the journalists said we were, and they all got mad and turned their backs on them.
Yeah, I would actually argue, and I think you could argue it very successfully, that the media push more people into the Trump camp because of the nonstop screeching about every infraction, everything's offensive. All right wingers are awful people. They're all literal Nazis. They're all blah, blah, blah.
Doubling and tripling down on this stuff, especially with Elon Musk stuff, is going to do it even more.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, even on the other side, are happy they're auditing them.
Oh, yeah. It was so weird. I was out on, we'll talk about that, the government audit with Doge. I was out on Reddit, and they have a Fed News subreddit, and this is where a lot of the IRS agents are going to, and they're complaining about, getting laid off. And I'm sorry, to some degree, that you're getting laid off, but a lot of them were like, we didn't realize how much the public hated us until we got laid off, and they were all cheering that we got fired. And I'm like, how could you not know? Do you live in such
touch are you?
How out of touch are you? I mean, for decades, people have been complaining about the IRS. People have been in fear of the IRS. Hell, in Batman, the animated series, the Joker's like, he'll do literally anything, take on Batman, take on anybody, but he won't mess with the IRS.
Yeah.
Right?
It was a running joke. Yes. That
was a joke. So I'm like, and you thought you were the good guys? You thought people were going to cheer? Like, oh my God, the poor IRS people, what are they going to do? Yeah, and people feel the same way about the media. Mm-hmm. They do. They're like, oh no, CNN journalists lost their jobs. Oh golly gee, that's terrible.
Are upset because they feel like they've been lied to repeatedly by the same people who are like keeping it going now. I'm like, you already dug your own hole. You're just going to bury yourself too because you will not learn your lesson. Just report on the truth, but you can't because you want the narrative to try to control. You want to control people think, and all you're doing is making them go the other way because they can see right through your bullshit.
So he's basically saying, yeah, all people in solidarity need to boycott Trump, which is he's your meal ticket. Good luck with that. He's your meal ticket, right? In turn, news outlets must rally to the cause by publicizing their support for AP and, if necessary, refusing to cover presidential movements in solidarity until Trump backs down. Trump, he's not going to back down. Trump may respond by inviting only sycophants and right-wing hacks to chronicle his daily decrees.
They were doing that already on the left. You know what I mean? They were going to their friends. They were paying off like Politico and all this. I'm sorry, giving them subscription money. Wink, yeah, wink, right? Wink. There's all this money that's questionably going out to different things to control the narrative, control the media. They own the media. A lot of the media that's out there, the big mainstream media, is owned by people that definitely lean a certain way. And it's okay when they do it. That's what I don't understand. It's like you guys have learned nothing. It's people don't want on either side. They want the truth.
Yeah, and I think the truth is going to hit a lot of people like a ton of bricks because people have this fantasy of what the government actually is, and the government's out there. Even the people that were getting laid off on Reddit were like, we're just here to help people. We don't understand why people hate us so much. I'm like, don't you understand all the good that's being done in the world with your taxpayer dollars? It's like, yeah,
that's it. It's all going all over the world and not here. I saw something yesterday where this one guy, and I think he was like a British, something, a government over there. He was mad because his wife was supposed to get another $1 million from from USAID, and that she was supposed to, that she replied that she had already gotten millions. And her business, her company or whatever, they go to Afghanistan and teach. I think it was Afghanistan, the poor there about the bad artists in the West.
Oh,
the sexually degenerate artists of the West, like Marcel Duchamp in a urinal. And his urinal statue. And I shit you not. And she got millions for that.
That's funny, the urinal. And you're like, no, shit you not. It should be.
I know. No, you can't shit in the urinal. So, I wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't recommend it. And the thing is, it's like,
I've seen it.
I know, I'm sure you have.
I have seen it.
I have not. And I'm happy to stay that way. But it's like, that's where the money went. So no, people aren't happy that our money was going $1 million for Sesame Street. That all this money got sent here for this DI program or that, comic book based on transgender, whatever. People are not happy about it. I'm sorry.
This guy is he's too much. Let the American people soak that in. The image of an aspiring autocrat and his servile propagandists.
Okay, and they keep spinning it like as if Trump and Elon Musk are rich. Yes, but so are the other people that were in there. Biden was too.
Yeah.
So were a lot of we're like some of the people that like the Pelosi and company are worth billions. You put the money together, they're worth billions too. I'm just like, why is it any different? It's not.
It's a temper tantrum.
Yes, it is. And George Clooney, speaking of temper tantrums, childish.
So George Clooney now, apparently he goes on Colbert, so you got the two Hollywood types. Clooney cheers courage of journalists who stand on the right side of history. Oh my God, what year is it?
History?
What
I know, right?
year is it?
Oh, they said the right side. That means the Republicans. There you go. You answered your question.
Oh my God. So apparently he was promoting his new play on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert on Tuesday night, saying it lionizes journalists during dark times in U.S. history. Journalists are a joke now. And this is coming from a guy who started out as a journalist.
And how come it's dark times now, but it wasn't dark times, under Biden when they were doing the misinformation on COVID and all that shit? You couldn't even say the word or your videos would be taken down.
The Democratic Party donor strongly hinted at the play being timely for the Trump era, despite trying to avoid saying it directly. Colbert sarcastically asked, "Why do you think it's a good idea to bring back a play right now about a man in journalism who is standing up against both corporate and political interests?" Clooney replied, "Yeah, it's a weird thing, isn't it? It's kind of a weird thing." The thing is that it's not going to work. Like, look, it fooled a lot of people in 2016. It's not going to work now because now the media has done so much damage to themselves. Legacy media has done so much damage to themselves that people are actively tuning out from CNN.
Wait, let me get this straight.
Actively tuning out.
So George Clooney, who's rich, and his wife, who's rich, and all this stuff, is doing a play. So he's using what he's considering the terrible political climate that he feels so bad for these people about to promote his damn play. Yeah. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah.
So tell me how you're any better. You're rich. You're there using you're supposed to say, "Oh, I feel so bad for people who aren't on the right side of history," and all this other stuff. You're supposed to feel so bad for them, but you're going to use it to promote your play.
So he's talking about, I guess his dad was a journalist. So he said, "We've always believed in the idea that when the other three states, the judiciary, the executive, when they all fail you, you need a fourth estate." And yes, the media is supposed to. Now, here's the thing where it's a double standard. The media is supposed to hold the government accountable.
Not when they're getting paid.
Right. And that's the thing. Nobody was allowed to hold the last administration accountable. You're not allowed to be an independent journalist. You have to join some organization. You have to be part of some corporate-owned website
and
or
go to
journalism
newspaper. College.
And go to journalism college. You're not allowed to be an independent reporter. You're not allowed to ask too many questions. If you're on social media and you're asking too many questions, you were getting kicked off of social media. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, this isn't exactly the same thing because we had 4 years plus actually where anybody that asked any questions got booted.
Hell, one of the media outlets, I forget which one it was, like the LA Times or something, I forget which one it was, got kicked off of Twitter because they questioned female issues over the COVID vaccines.
I think, was it the Post? It might be. I don't know what. Yeah,
one of them got kicked off for a little while over it.
Well, the Post got. I think it was a Post that got banned on Twitter because of the laptop situation. But like, you know what I'm saying?
But that was okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you can't have true investigative journalism, or you couldn't have true investigative journalism for years before Trump, because if you did anything, like even websites, we talked about this before. We had multiple websites, and our ad network would audit your websites to make sure you didn't have anything disagreeable. By that, they mean
anything that that went against the far left narrative.
Yeah.
And the thing is, now tell me that you're being policed now, but you weren't being policed then.
Yes.
Yeah, this is bullshit. It's a lie. And George Clooney's just on the stage making these comments because it benefits him with his play about this such kind of situation that he wants to leverage for his own financial benefit, trying to masquerade as if he's doing it for others. Bullshit.
It's so damn, like, there's no self-awareness whatsoever. And I mean, I'm like, again, you're going to talk about them screeching over the freaking Gulf of Mexico. They're screeching over that.
It's stupid, but come on.
But we had journalists silenced for asking very basic questions. Right. Very basic question. Is Biden okay? What's up with the vaccine?
And they lied and kept saying there was nothing wrong. Nothing wrong. Yeah. On both of those things, Biden be okay and the vaccine. Nothing wrong. Nothing wrong there.
Is it possible that it might be a bioweapon? Is it possible? Again, these are just questions.
The virus, you mean, yeah.
Yeah. Is it possible that the mRNA vaccines maybe aren't as safe as...
You were allowed to. because it didn't go. It went against their narrative, and they blocked it for years. But that's okay, guys. But if you say, hey, you're refusing to change, you're refusing to address the name change, and you're refusing to acknowledge it. How dare he? He's literally a fascist trying to silence the media. It's
fascist trying to silence.
You know what, media? If you just did your job in the first damn place, you wouldn't be in the position you're in.
So now we got him. He's basically, I think Jim Acosta is basically just using.
He's just trying to use it for attention.
He's using it for attention to get people to go to Substack, right? But now he's calling Caroline Levitt a kid who's telling a tall tale. But if you said anything about the previous press secretary, you were a racist.
Oh yes, of course.
Nazi bigot. Yeah.
Right.
So
right. Mm-hmm.
They're just this is called the death throw of the mainstream media. They know they're dying again. CNN ratings in the toilet. MSNBC ratings in the toilet.
Well, MSNBC, they can start to pick up a little bit, but that's because they're doing Trump land and all that stuff.
Trump land. You need him. You're going to boycott him, but you literally need him. Even if you're going to hate on him, you need him for ratings.
We said that. It's like it wasn't their best interest for him to win because that's 4 more years of money.
Yes. And that's it. And that's actually, if these dying legacy media outlets get a reprieve, it's going to be Trump money because of the anti-Trump sentiment.
The ones that are left after the money stops going to them from the government, at least Politico.
We'll see what happens. But it definitely is going to be a very interesting couple of years. So we're going to wrap this one up. Mm-hmm. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.
Bye.